Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally stop chasing someone, suddenly they can't stop chasing you? It almost feels backwards, right? You cared, you gave your time, your attention, your energy, and they barely noticed. But the second you step away, the second you reclaim your power, something shifts inside them. Suddenly, you're the one they can't stop thinking about. That's what today's video is all about. Why walking away flips the script completely, and why the person who never expected you to leave is now the one obsessed with you. Here's the truth. Most people don't tell you. Attraction isn't just about how much you give, it's about the space you create. When you walk away, you create contrast. That contrast wakes him up. He goes from taking you for granted to realizing what life feels like without you, and that gap is where obsession grows. Now, this isn't about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about understanding psychology, self-respect, and emotional dynamics that naturally trigger desire. And once you understand how powerful walking away can be, you'll stop questioning your worth and start seeing yourself as the prize. So stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to break down exactly what happens inside his mind when you leave, why distance intensifies attraction, and how to maintain your confidence so you never have to chase again. If you've ever wondered why he didn't see your value until you walked away, you're about to find out. Most men don't expect you to walk away because, in their mind, they've already decided that you'll always be there. When someone gets used to your love, your effort, and your presence, it starts to feel permanent. They assume that no matter how much they neglect your needs or take you for granted, you'll keep showing up. And the truth is, many women unintentionally reinforce this belief by giving too much, forgiving too quickly, and proving their loyalty even when they're not being valued in return. What happens is simple but powerful. Consistency without boundaries creates complacency. He begins to see your kindness as something that doesn't require effort on his part. He enjoys the comfort of knowing you're available, but he doesn't recognize the cost of losing you because he's never imagined a reality where you wouldn't be there. For him, your presence feels guaranteed. This dynamic ties directly into psychology. Human beings are wired to undervalue what they assume is permanent and overvalue what they fear losing. When he believes you won't leave, he unconsciously lowers the priority he places on keeping you. He might not mean to do this intentionally, but the brain naturally puts more energy into things that feel scarce or uncertain. You, on the other hand, feel safe enough to keep giving, which ironically convinces him even more that you won't walk away. So why doesn't he expect it? Because from his perspective, the balance of effort has been uneven for so long that it feels like the natural state of the relationship. He gives a little, you give a lot, and the rhythm continues. Unless something disrupts that cycle, he doesn't stop to question it. In fact, he might not even realize how much he's been taking you for granted until the pattern changes. When you finally pull back, when you choose distance instead of constant giving, it shocks his system. Suddenly, the comfort he relied on is gone. The validation he took for granted is missing. And because he never expected you to leave, that absence hits harder than if he had prepared for it. It feels like a loss he didn't see coming, and that's what sparks the obsessive thoughts, the late-night regrets, and the sudden urge to win you back. Think of it this way: the unexpected carries more emotional weight than the predictable. If he knew all along you might leave, he could rationalize it. But when he believes you'll never walk away, your decision becomes unforgettable. It shakes the foundation of his certainty, and that's when the chase begins. The irony is that the very thing he assumed was permanent, your presence, becomes the one thing he can't stop thinking about once it's gone. And that's exactly why men don't expect you to leave until you finally do. The power of walking away lies in what it communicates without you ever having to say a word. When you choose to step back, you're sending the clearest signal possible. You value yourself enough not to stay where you aren't respected, prioritized, or appreciated. That action alone carries more weight than endless conversations, explanations, or pleas ever could. Because while words can be dismissed, actions force people to pay attention. Walking away creates space, and in that space, two powerful things happen. First, you regain your clarity. When you're too close to someone who undervalues you, it's easy to get caught in the cycle of giving more, hoping they'll eventually see your worth. But once you walk away, you remove yourself from the constant need to prove anything. You remember who you are outside of the relationship dynamic. You see your own value more clearly, and that renewed sense of self-respect makes you magnetic in ways that chasing never could. The second thing that happens is within him. Suddenly the energy he depended on is gone. He no longer has the comfort of your affection or the reassurance of your presence. And because human beings crave what they lose more than what they already have, your absence becomes a mirror that reflects back to him what you meant all along. The contrast between having you and losing you hits harder than any discussion about what needs to change. Walking away makes him confront a reality he never imagined facing. And that's where obsession often begins. But here's the deeper truth. Walking away isn't about making him obsessed. That's just a byproduct. The real power is that it shifts the balance of control back to you. Instead of waiting for him to decide whether you're worthy of his time, you're deciding that for yourself, you're no longer at the mercy of his choices. You're standing firmly in your own. That energy is what draws respect, admiration, and yes, desire. What makes this so powerful is that it doesn't rely on manipulation. You're not playing hard to get or using tricks to spark interest. You're embodying self-worth. And self-worth is the most attractive quality anyone can carry. Men sense it immediately. They recognize when a woman is willing to walk away rather than settle. And that strength sets her apart from anyone else. It's rare, and rarity always creates value. So the power of walking away is not just in the effect it has on him, but in the transformation it sparks in you. It forces you to realign with your standards, protect your peace, and demand better for yourself. That shift is undeniable, and it naturally changes how others respond to you. Whether he comes back or not, you've already won, because you've proven to yourself that your worth was never dependent on anyone else's recognition. The moment he realizes what he lost is never as instant as we sometimes imagine. It doesn't always happen. The second you walk away. At first he might dismiss it, convincing himself that you'll be back, that this is just temporary. He might even tell himself that he doesn't need you, that he can move on easily. But what he doesn't expect is how quickly the absence of your presence begins to seep into his daily life. Suddenly, the texts that used to come in don't appear. The warmth of your attention is gone. The little things he never acknowledged, the comfort of knowing you were just one call away, are missing. It's in that silence that the realization begins to take root. Human beings don't usually understand the depth of what they have until it's taken from them. For him, your love, your energy, your patience felt endless, and because it was always there, he underestimated its value. But once you walk away, the contrast hits hard. The things he ignored start replaying in his mind. The way you supported him, the way you believed in him, the way you cared when no one else did. These memories don't fade, they get louder, and with every reminder, regret grows stronger. What really makes him realize what he lost isn't just the absence of your love, it's the realization that he can't easily replace it. He might try, he may distract himself with other people, throw himself into work, or act like it doesn't matter. But none of it compares to the depth of connection you offered. That's when it dawns on him. You weren't just another option, you were the person who made him feel a certain way that no one else can replicate. And here's the part that often surprises women. Men don't process emotions the same way. While you may have felt the pain in the relationship, he was numb to it, shielded by your constant presence. It's only after you leave that his emotions catch up. The void forces him to confront feelings he's been ignoring, and those emotions hit all at once. That's when obsession begins to form. Not necessarily out of love, but out of fear of permanent loss. The realization of what he lost is powerful because it redefines you in his mind. The woman he thought would always be there suddenly becomes the woman he can't reach. And in that shift, his entire perspective changes. What was once taken for granted now feels rare. What was once overlooked now seems priceless. The irony is that your decision to walk away does more to show him your value than staying ever could. In your absence, he finally sees the truth, that losing you isn't just losing a relationship, it's losing the chance to be with someone extraordinary. And that realization will stay with him far longer than you might imagine. When a man starts growing obsessed after you walk away, the signs often appear slowly at first, then all at once. It begins with subtle actions that you might overlook, messages out of the blue, little excuses to reach out. Sudden accidental likes on your social media. He'll claim he was just checking in, or that he happened to think of you. But underneath those small gestures lies something deeper. The realization that your absence is unbearable. Obsession doesn't announce itself loudly in the beginning. It sneaks in through small, persistent efforts to pull you back into his orbit. As the days pass, his behavior becomes harder to ignore. He may start reaching out more often, sometimes at odd hours, as though he can't stop thinking about you. You might notice he brings up old memories, trying to remind you of the bond you once shared, hoping nostalgia will make you soften. He'll ask mutual friends about you, wanting to know what you're doing, who you're with, and whether you've truly moved on. The man who once seemed distant suddenly becomes intensely curious, because the unknown terrifies him. Another clear sign is inconsistency in his emotions. One moment he might act casual, pretending he's fine, and the next he's sending long messages filled with regret, apologies, or even frustration. Obsession doesn't always look polished. It often shows up as emotional swings, because he's battling between pride and desperation. His ego tells him to move on, but his heart won't let go, and the conflict spills out in unpredictable ways. You may also notice that he tries to reinsert himself into your life through indirect means. He might start posting things on social media aimed at catching your attention, suddenly showing off, hinting at his feelings, or trying to spark jealousy. He wants to know if you're still watching, still paying attention, because your silence is louder than anything he's experienced before. Perhaps the strongest sign of obsession is persistence. A man who barely made an effort before now refuses to let go. He may reach out repeatedly, even after you've ignored him, because in his mind, silence isn't rejection, it's a challenge. And that persistence comes from the panic of losing something he thought he'd always have. The irony is that his obsession isn't always about you changing. It's about you refusing to bend anymore. Your decision to walk away flips the dynamic completely. Now he's the one replaying everything in his head, wondering what went wrong, trying to figure out how to win you back. The control he once held feels shattered, and the only way he knows how to cope is by chasing what he lost. These signs are important to recognize, not so you can fall back into the same cycle, but so you can see the power of your choice. Obsession is proof that your absence made an impact. The man who never expected you to leave is now consumed by the very thought of you, and that shift is undeniable. Desire and respect are two forces that shape every relationship, yet they work in ways most people don't fully understand. Desire is fueled by mystery, challenge, and the feeling of wanting something just out of reach. Respect, on the other hand, is built on boundaries, consistency, and the way you carry yourself. When these two forces combine, they create attraction that goes far beyond surface-level infatuation. This is exactly why walking away can completely transform how a man sees you. It reignites desire while commanding respect at the same time. Think about it, when you were always available, desire had no space to grow. He didn't have to wonder what you were thinking, he didn't have to work for your attention, and he didn't feel the risk of losing you. Desire thrives on uncertainty, and the moment you take that away, attraction often fades. But the second you step back, the script changes. Suddenly there are questions in his mind he can't answer. Where are you? Who are you with? Do you still care? That uncertainty reignites his desire, because now there's a gap between what he knows and what he wants to know. Respect, however, doesn't come from absence alone. It comes from the way you handle yourself during that absence. If you walk away bitter, constantly checking in, or trying to manipulate the outcome, the respect isn't there. But if you walk away with confidence, holding your head high, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve, that's when respect grows. Respect is born when someone realizes you have standards they can't ignore, boundaries they can't cross, and strength they can't shake. Here's the key: desire without respect is shallow, and respect without desire is stagnant. But when you combine the two, it creates a powerful pull that keeps someone invested. Walking away is one of the few actions that triggers both simultaneously. It sparks desire by creating mystery and uncertainty, and it builds respect by showing strength and self-worth. This is why men often become more obsessed after you leave than when you were giving them everything. Desire pushes him to chase, but respect makes him realize he can't take you for granted anymore. He's not just missing you, he's confronting the fact that if he ever gets another chance, he has to show up differently. The psychology here is simple yet profound. People value what challenges them, and they respect what doesn't tolerate disrespect. So when you walk away, you're not just changing his perception, you're reshaping the entire dynamic. You're reminding him that love without respect isn't enough, and attention without desire won't last. That combination is what creates lasting attraction, and it all starts the moment you choose yourself over chasing someone else. Walking away is powerful, but the real test begins after you've already made that choice. This is the point where many people unknowingly sabotage themselves, not because they mean to, but because emotions run high and the temptation to slip back into old habits is strong. The truth is, the way you act after you walk away determines whether he grows to respect your decision or sees it as just another temporary move. That's why knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. The first mistake is looking back too soon. The urge to check in, to see if he's noticed your absence, or to respond quickly to his attempts to reach out can feel overwhelming. But every time you give in, you undo the very power that walking away gave you. It tells him you're not serious, that you're still waiting in the background. If you truly want him to feel the weight of your absence, you have to let silence speak louder than your impulses. Another mistake is using social media as a stage for your emotions. Posting cryptic quotes, oversharing, or trying to spark jealousy by showing off how happy you are without him rarely works the way you think. Instead of creating intrigue, it exposes that you're still focused on him. Mystery is powerful. Oversharing kills it. The less he knows about what's going on in your world, the more he wonders. One of the most damaging things you can do is settle for breadcrumbs when he does reach out. A quick text, a casual hey, or a half-hearted attempt to reconnect might feel exciting in the moment, but responding eagerly only rewards minimal effort. If you accept crumbs, you teach him he doesn't need to give you more. The key is to recognize that attention isn't the same as intention, and until he shows real effort, you don't owe him access. It's also a mistake to compare yourself to anyone else he might turn to during this time. If he tries to distract himself with other people, that's not your concern. The second you make it about competition, you give away your power. Walking away is about reclaiming your value, not proving it against someone else. And perhaps the biggest trap is waiting for him to change while putting your life on pause. The whole point of walking away is to prioritize yourself, to grow, to heal, to rediscover who you are outside of him. If you spend this time obsessing over whether he'll come back, you miss the opportunity to step fully into your strength. Ironically, it's when you truly stop waiting that he feels the deepest impact of your absence. So the biggest don't after walking away is simple. Don't betray yourself. Don't undo your progress by slipping into old patterns. The silence, the distance, and the confidence you carry are what give walking away its power. Hold on to that, and let him be the one who has to rise to your level. Staying confident and in control after walking away isn't just about what you do. It's about how you see yourself. Confidence isn't something you put on like a mask. It's the steady belief that you are enough with or without anyone else's validation. And when you've made the decision to step back from someone who didn't value you, your ability to hold on to that belief becomes your greatest strength. The first step is to shift the focus back to yourself. Too often people walk away but continue to orbit around the same question. Will he come back? The more you center your energy on that, the less control you actually have. Confidence comes from redirecting that energy inward, toward your growth, your goals, and your happiness. When you pour into yourself, you remind both him and yourself that your life doesn't pause for anyone. Another way to stay in control is through boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're standards that guide how you allow others to treat you. If he reaches out, your confidence shows in how you respond. Or even if you choose not to respond at all, you no longer accept crumbs of attention, mixed signals, or empty promises. Instead, you show with your actions that your time and energy are valuable. And nothing commands respect more than a person who honors their own boundaries. Confidence also grows when you detach from the outcome. The truth is, you can't control whether he changes, whether he regrets, or whether he comes back. What you can control is how you move forward. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you refuse to let someone else's choices determine your peace of mind. That calm detachment is magnetic. because it shows you're not desperate, you're not waiting, and you're not afraid to be on your own path. Another key is to keep investing in the things that light you up. Spend time with people who uplift you, pursue passions that make you feel alive, and set goals that have nothing to do with him. The more fulfilled you are in your own life, the less room there is for doubt to creep in. Confidence is built in the small daily choices that remind you of your own worth. And finally, staying in control means remembering why you walked away in the first place. When emotions run high, it's easy to forget the disrespect, the neglect, or the imbalance that pushed you to make that decision. Keep that truth close, because it anchors you when old feelings try to pull you back. In the end, confidence and control are not about proving anything to him. They're about proving everything to yourself. When you hold on to your value, you show the world that you can't be shaken by temporary losses. That unshakable presence is what makes you powerful, unforgettable, and truly free. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause and really take in everything we've talked about. Walking away isn't just an act of leaving. It's an act of reclaiming your power. It's the moment you decide that your self-worth is greater than someone else's inconsistency, that your peace matters more than their games, and that your life doesn't revolve around waiting for anyone to see your value. That choice alone is life-changing. When you walked away, you did something most people never have the courage to do. You disrupted the cycle of being taken for granted. You reminded him, and more importantly yourself, that love without respect is never enough. That decision doesn't just affect him, it transforms you. It forces you to see how strong you are, how much you deserve, and how powerful your silence can be compared to words that fall on deaf ears. The key takeaway here is simple. Your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could when someone is blind to your value. He didn't expect you to leave, and that's why it shook him so deeply. He may grow obsessed, he may chase, he may finally realize what he lost, but whether he does or not is no longer the point. The real victory is that you stopped settling and chose yourself. Another lesson is that desire and respect go hand in hand. Desire keeps the spark alive, but respect keeps it grounded. Without both, relationships fall apart, and walking away creates both at once. It reignites desire through mystery and space, and it builds respect by showing that you refuse to accept less than what you deserve. Remember also what not to do. Don't break your own boundaries. Don't look back too soon. And don't let fear of being alone drag you back into something that doesn't serve you. Your confidence after walking away is what makes all the difference. The more you focus on yourself, your growth, and your happiness, the more magnetic you become, not just to him, but to the world. So the final message is this: walking away is not about punishing him, it's about protecting you. It's about choosing strength over desperation, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over settling. When you do that, you shift the entire dynamic. You stop being the one who chases, and start being the one who is chased. You stop being the one who waits and start being the one who decides. If there's one thing you carry with you after this video, let it be this: your value doesn't decrease because someone failed to see it. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever do in love is to walk away, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. That's when everything changes.